with this hardware basics. Hardware basics. Okay, it is important again for your interview, and you want to learn anything related to the system related, not only computer hardware. Next time you want to go with the server side or any infrastructure related, you can able to understand the basics part also. Okay, and here it is what we are going to discuss about a simple hardware components, or like what is CPU or RAM, ROM, motherboard, hard disk, what is SMPS, this kind of stuff, and certain storage devices we are going to discuss, like what is hard disk, SSD, CD-ROMs, floppy disk, like that few components, and BIOS settings, what is CMOS battery, these kind of hardware components we are going to discuss. Okay, so today if we can able to complete up to this part, it is better. Means next time, next classes we can start with a new thing like a bio boot processing, operating system kind of stuff. We'll see how much we can able to complete today. Depends upon it. This is one part up to hard disk and SSD. The next one is boot processing. So when you power on your system, so what happened is there is a step-by-step process happens inside your system that is called a boot process. So what is this boot processing, or what is this step-by-step boot process? So that is very important because most common question in all your interviews. Okay. So we'll see that what is this boot processing. At boot time, so generally we got certain issues. That is, we will discuss separately after the main sessions are completed. Okay. So these troubleshooting issues, one day separately we'll discuss. That's it. This troubleshooting. We'll skip. Next, after boot processing, we are going to discuss about operating system. What is an operating system? Why we need an operating system? Okay. What is the architecture of operating system? What is kernel? What is shell? Okay, different types of operating system, different operating systems. Okay, and small previously asked question differences, like what is web browser OS, hard disk and RAM differences, Windows 10 and Windows 11 differences, because recently certain batches they got this question difference between Windows 10 and Windows 11. Okay, what operating system you are using in your system, that is another important. Windows and Linux differences, device drivers, okay, and what is about a printers, how you connect a printer, and based on the connectivity of different types of printers, and what is the sharing of printers. Yeah, the last one is system configurations. What is your system configuration? What system you are using? The system configuration. Then we'll discuss about a PC hardware basics. Sorry, troubleshooting questions. What are the frequently asked troubleshooting questions, and what are the common questions are there? We'll see that one. This part will take at least 2 days total time for a troubleshooting. And of course, because in a recent almost all interviews, troubleshooting is one of the important questions. Means if they ask 10 questions out of 10, at least 2, 3 questions, troubleshooting questions only there. Okay. So do not ignore the troubleshooting questions also. Where are we? We have to go to the top and we'll start from the start. And most of you guys already from your engineering, you have a laptop. So you have an idea about a computer components, okay? Laptop or desktop or a server. All are having a common components only. Only size and capacity wise, form factor wise, there are little differences. But we'll see once more names and their functionality specifications and troubleshooting related to that component issues. We'll also going to see one by one. So we'll start with the PC components. Here also we're going to take 2-3 breaks. Okay. First we'll see what are the different components, and we will going to discuss about CPU and CPU related heat sink paste kind of stuff. What happen if you don't put heat sink properly, then what happen? Then we'll go for RAM and ROM, RAM, then ROM, BIOS settings. Okay, like that. Small part wise, we'll go to complete this part today. Okay, next. So this is, if you take a desktop or maybe a server, so like a tower server, that's outer layer, that's outer box, we call it as a cabinet or PC cabinet, PC chassis cabinet, okay, system unit. System unit means combination of everything, but it's the box is gas. Some people call this instead of system unit or maybe cabinet or chassis, we call them as a CPU. Okay, it's become a hobby to call it as a CPU. That's it. Does not mean that is knowing and unknowing. Even ourselves, like we well known about what this is cabinet, but we call that one as CPU. But CPU is a small chip which is inside of this cabinet on the motherboard itself. Okay, on the motherboard. This cabinet contains a lot of components inside of the cabinet. We have components are there: CPU, central processing unit, also called as processor, RAM, ROM, means your BIOS chip, motherboard, hard disk, SSDs, CD, DVDs, SMPS, floppy disk. In a laptop, little difference is there. In laptop also same thing. We have a motherboard. On motherboard, RAM, processor, ROM chips, hard disk or SSDs. Okay. So older laptops having CD-RAMs, very old laptops having floppy disk. But floppy disk, of course, desktops also do not have floppy disk nowadays. Okay, floppy disk completely gone from market so many years back only. Okay. And laptop don't have a SMPS, laptop having batteries inside, and there is a outer charger cable is there. Okay. So little small difference, but components are always same components. Outside of this cabinet, what we are having, so keyboard, mouse, monitors. Monitor is a standard output device for display purpose. Keyboard, standard input device. Mouse is a pointer device. For laptops, we have a touchpads. Touchpads for a pointing purpose, pointing and selecting purpose. Touch screens. Your mobile phone having touch screen, same way laptops, tablets. There's a touch screen laptops also there. Okay, touch screen input. So through touch, you can give an input part. You can select and open it like that. Mic and speaker are a voice input, voice output. Mic and speaker. And next, card readers. Nowadays, we are not using these SD cards much in your mobile phone, so less. We will see this card readers part. But card readers, if you have a digital cameras, mobile phones, we have SD cards, micro SD cards. We can store our data inside. We can read it from there. Okay. So we can, if you want to, if you are store the data like your pictures and videos in your memory card, you want to read and write into that one. So you need a device to store the data into your laptop to the card is a card reader. Okay. Bluetooth devices, of course, now I'm using a Bluetooth mouse, right? So Bluetooth devices, Bluetooth mouse, Bluetooth headphones, okay, like that. So there is a Bluetooth based connectivity devices, external hard disk. So I have a lot of data in my system, so I download a lot of data. So I cannot able to keep all the data in my system. So, so then I will try to move the data to some other place that is called a external hard disk. So, like my downloads, movies, applications, heavy applications, I downloaded documents. So when I download it, I can't keep everything in my laptop. So I will keep it separately. Or maybe for a backup purpose, we use this external hard disk. With a simple USB connection, we can connect it. Joystick or a gaming controllers. These are like you can use your keyboard for playing games. For certain games, it is joystick. We can also use for a gaming. Okay. These are the external to your system. We are connecting to our system for controlling and access. And 2 points we skipped, that is printer and scanner. The printer is converts soft copy to hard copy. What is soft copy? What are the your system content inside a system? That's called soft copy. You have a picture in your system. You have a document, a PDF, or maybe a document or Excel sheet. These are all soft copies only. The things in your system is soft copy. So once you take it print out from your printer, so it's on the paper, right? That is called a hard copy. The scanner converts hard copy to soft copy. It's a little different. So you have your document, your college certificate is there on the paper. That's a hard copy. And you scan it and store that information into your laptop or a desktop in your system. That is soft copy wise you are storing. Okay. So that is a printer and scanner. It's look like very small points, guys. These are all well known. It's been learned in a childhood days only. Sometimes in any written examinations, the very basic level questions in interiors, these can be possible questions also. Do not ignore small things because in your interviews, very important one is small things only. Very basics are very important. So now when we'll ask you what server we use in generally in our data centers, no one will ask you. Okay. Okay. If they ask what is the storage area cost, no, they don't go with that much. Okay. What is tell me about what is this um, a cloud computing related security questions? No, they don't ask you. They ask you, do you have a basic technical knowledge or not? Very basic level. First important is the basic knowledge is compulsory important. That's what we are giving in the training as well as which is help you to next level also. That's all. So I'm telling again, do not ignore the basic things. And this part, guys, simply sit and calm means try to understand as well as if you don't get it, ask me, I will explain it again. No problem. And most of that's try to get. So we'll start with the processor one by one. So first we'll finish the processor. We'll take 5 minutes break. Then we'll go with the RAM and ROM. Then we'll take a 5 minutes break and ROM related kind of stuff like that will complete today. Processor is a brain of the computer. Okay. Processor also called as central processing unit. It is a single chip. Processor or CPU performs arithmetic and logical functions. Arithmetic and logical function. So what is doing is this is a processor in his between his fingers. What is this? Is a processor. Inserting on the is trying to insert into the processor socket on the motherboard. Okay, so there is a motherboard, there is a processor socket, is trying to insert this processor into that processor socket. So that's the small chip which is processor, not that big box. Okay, this is also another processor, i7 processor chip. Okay, Xeon processor. The Xeon processor generally Xeon. This Xeon processor generally used for a server purpose. In servers use this type of processes. Okay, the servers hardwares, they use this processor because servers has to run for 24/7 continuously. It has to run for a 24/7 processor. It is Ryzen processor like that. Okay, so the processor is a simple single chip, not the big box. Got it? Different manufacturers of processors also there. For your laptop, desktop, servers purpose, the main competition, main market wise, the two processor manufacturers are there. Intel and AMD. Intel. From Intel, so there are a lot of processors are came from 4004. That's the first processor by from Intel 4004, 4-bit processor. Okay, don't worry about so that's we don't use it anyway. Okay. So we got a popular processors are from Pentium. Of course, 8058, 586, that's one processor is there, but more popular is Pentium 1, 2, 3, 4, Pentium M, Pentium Gold, Pentium dual core processors are there. Okay. Okay. Pentium. Currently, Pentium Gold processors, that's dual core processors are available from Pentium. No Pentium 3, no Pentium 4 nowadays. Dual core processor, Pentium Gold processor. Yeah, guys, so just 2 minutes. Okay. Okay, guys, so we got a call. So important. Okay. So next is more popular Intel processor i3, i5, i7, i9 processor also there. Xeon XEON, this Xeon processor, we don't use it. Okay. For a home or a regular system purpose, we don't use it. It's only for a server purpose. Okay, if you are a very basic, very basic system user, and we need a very less cost, you want a computer, you can go with the this dual core gold processors are best one. Okay, or you can try with the i3 processor for little moderated usage. But the best one is i5. Cost wise, total cost, overall cost and performance wise, i5 is best. You want more higher performance than i7. So you have a lot of money, then you go with the i9 processor. That's it. Okay. i5 is for almost all, it will fulfill all your main requirements. Okay. So performance is also good or moderated. So okay, AMD processor. So here it is, Athlon is like a dual core processor model, the basic processor it is. Next is Ryzen. In Ryzen also different levels are there like a i5, i3, i7 type. So Ryzen also having a Ryzen 3, Ryzen 5, Ryzen 7 type of processor. In that one also different series are there. Different series, different number of cores, number of processors, models are there. Depends upon your requirement. You can choose which processor is suitable. Normally say like what is the difference between Intel and AMD? Who is going to buy Intel? Who is going to better we prefer AMD? What time like that? Um, Think like this, like you are more into the graphical related, means you have to use a graphic card, more in the multimedia related person, not in the data processing related, just multimedia is more like a video editing, gaming, you are mostly in a playing games kind of stuff. Okay. And you are in a very cool places. Okay. You're sitting mostly in the cooling places. So AMD is preferable in that situations. Intel is a more on the data processing related only. Okay. Not in the graphical related support is there. Compared to Intel, AMD is cheaper. But yeah, that's small differences because AMD produce lot of heat. Okay. So that's why better to keep your laptop or desktops we are using AMD better in the cool places only. Okay. Cooling system cost is higher in AMD processors. Just just general common. Other than that one, lot of processor. Via is one of the processor manufacturing for your desktop processor manufacturing is there, but it's gone from the market. Motorola. Motorola is one of the processor manufacturer, first processor manufacturer for your mobile phones. And also Motorola manufacture processor for different other devices, including Cisco routing switches. We have seen that simulator, right? Cisco routers and switches use this Motorola manufactured processors only. Okay. Yeah, you know the mobile phone manufacturers, mobile phone processors. The famous one is Snapdragon. Qualcomm, Snapdragon. So now it is 8.1 or 8.2 something is going on, right? 7.1, 7.2, 7.3. One series is there, 8.1, 8.2 series also there, right? MediaTek, Dimensity, Helio, Samsung one processor also there, Xenons. Okay, Xenos. It's another Samsung one processor. Okay, so different processors, not only for our laptops and desktop, mobile phones, tablets. Yeah, the Apple I didn't written, so Apple has their own Apple processors also there. I didn't write in about Apple, so we have to add that one point in future. So I'm not much with Apple, so I didn't write it. Didn't add the Apple. For desktop laptops, Apple desktops are there, Apple laptops are there, MacBooks. So for that, Apple, two versions are. Apple use Intel hardware and Mac operating system. Why is this Mac wise? In certain Apple books, okay, MacBooks, they use Apple own hardware plus Mac OS. Mac OS is common in some in the with Intel hardware, Intel processor MacBooks are there. Apple processor MacBooks also there separate. In mobile phone, they use their own processors on. Okay. Of course, in Apple, they also tie with the Snapdragon. Okay. Okay. So these are the different manufacturers of processor, different models of processors. What we do next? Processor specifications. When you are buying a processor, like you want to build your own laptop, desktop, you don't build it, but you're going to build one a desktop. So you should know what is the processor suitable for you. Or maybe you are already having a desktop or laptop. So you should know about your processor details. So then um, you can do important things. When you want to add a new RAM, you can understand your system capacities like that. How much virtualization related or maybe multiple application running purposes. Okay, system is slow or up and running. Okay, what is this? Charging maintenances. Okay, power utilization related. So we can able to balance it. by knowing about your processor. Either your laptop processor, you should know it, or maybe you want to buy new one, also you can get. What are the specifications? You must check in your processor. Your processor speed. If the clock speed of the processor increases, the performance increases, right? The clock speed increases, so the performance increases. Next. Nowadays, most of the processors are 64-bit processors only. Earlier days, we are using 32-bit processor. 16-bit processor so many years back, means maybe more than 20 years back. Maybe we are using 16-bit processor. Of course, we are not at all using this 16-bit processor from so many years. So better I will remove this 16, which is disturbing me, because if it is there, you would think it's 16-bit, really it is there. Okay, 16-bit processor is your 8085, 8086. There are 16-bit processor. We are not using that one. Okay, since we are started using as a computer, that is 32-bit only. Okay, so maybe you didn't born when we are using 16-bit processor. I bought. I bought. Okay, not you. Okay, it's maybe you are all 2000 candidates, not 90s candidates. So definitely. Okay, so 32-bit or 64-bit. 32-bit processor ruled in so many for years, but recently most of the computers, laptop, desktop, all 64-bit processors one. Okay, so what is this? We can call it as width array architecture. Okay, what architecture? Like 32-bit architecture, 64-bit architecture. Mostly we are using 64-bit nowadays. You must know about what's 32-bit or 64. Next, FSB. Every processor, based on the processor, you have to decide how much RAM capacity you can use it. RAM size and model. RAM size and model. Okay. So supported RAM size and model. Okay. RAM clock speed. For example, for my laptop, in my laptop, I have a 16 GB RAM. So my processor support up to 64 GB RAM. So I can expand my RAM up to 64 GB. Okay. So I have old laptop that's support up to 16 GB only maximum. But when I purchased this laptop, I got a 4 GB RAM only. I added 8 GB to it. So it's become 12 GB. Still, I can add some more extra 4 GB RAM. It's not possible, but still it is the maximum RAM I can use is 16 GB for my old laptop. For this one, 64 GB. I have a desktop that is 32 GB maximum capacity. Okay. RAM max capacity. RAM size decided by this FSB. The processor will tell you how much RAM it is. Model of the RAM. What RAM you should use it. For example, current my laptop is a DDR4 support. The newer version of processors support DDR5. My old laptop support DDR3. Okay. My desktop support DDR4 with a different clock speed. So RAM models, clock speed, maximum RAM sizes. So decided by your processor only. You can't choose your own RAM sizes and all. Okay. That's important. Cache memory. So every processor has a built-in cache memory is there. It's a cache memory. Higher the cache memory, faster the performance. Okay, higher the cache memory, the performance improves. Okay, so there is in a cache memory also L1, L2, L3 cache memory. Mostly we are looking at L3 cache memory. Higher the cache memory, better performance. Next, the processor number of cores. Earlier, single processor, single core processors are there. So in a servers, they use multiple processor for a better performance. High core performance means In our normal desktop laptop, we have single processor. In a server's motherboards, it support multiple processors. We can insert it. 2 processor, 4 processors. You can go to Google and go to images and type a server motherboards. Okay, then you can able to certain motherboards having a multiple processor sockets. Okay, certain motherboards are having go to images. You can see so different multiple processor sockets here. Here it is. See 2 processor support. It's also 2 processor support motherboard. 2 processors. Some are support 4 also. Some are support 8 like this. See 4 processor support motherboard. Okay. 2 processor support motherboards. Okay. So this is in the for to improve the performance. Okay. Next. But later on this technology changes. What they have done. So for normal system also we need a higher performance. So for normal system like desktop, laptop, what they done, they took 2 processor combined together with a single cache memory. So that is they call it as dual core. They call it as dual core processor. Means faster performance increases. Dual core processors. Later, what they have done, they made simple. They take one single processor, divide it into 2 parts. They call it as core to geo. Core to geo means multitasking in process. The processor is higher capacity, but task by task execution will delays in a multitasking capacities much slower earlier days. Then multitasking capacity increases by number of cores. Number of cores. Okay. Speed improves by dual core. Means combination of 2 processor, speed increases. Means 2 processor works for a single task. Speed increases. Now what we done? We take one processor, cut it to 2 parts. Means 2 tasks execute similar time. Means multitasking execution is higher. Then they cut into 4 parts. So 4 executions, 4 tasks at a time execution. So multitasking is improved. So number of cores increases, multitasking execution is faster. Multitasking handling increases. Next is number of threads. This number of threads is nothing but a dual core property. Means one processor act as a 2 processor, right? So this is number of cores are is like a divide one processor into separate processors logically, like core 1, core 0, core 1, core 2, core 3 like that. 4 core processor, 2 core processor, octa core processor, deca core processors. These are number of cores per processor it is. This logical processor or number of threads means, so they're combine these dual core processors, dual core concept with a number of core concept. So it is, it's like a one core act as a 2 cores. Okay. One core act as a like a dual core type. Means performance increases, multitasking performance. So number of cores, number of threads increases, the higher the performance. Okay, higher the multitasking handling. And very important feature nowadays, it must be in your laptop or desktop processors. That is virtualization technology. It must be there in your processors. It's there, but some are maybe missing. You must check compulsory. These virtualization technologies are compulsory, should be built in your processors for supporting virtualization. So I showed my virtual machine, right, last class. So that virtual machine I can able to create and run in my system because of my processor support virtualization technology. So if you hear about this Docker or a Kubernetes, that is also virtualization based only. Okay. If you want to run a Docker container, your processor must support virtualization technology. You want to create and run any virtual machine, either Hyper-V virtual machine, VMware virtual machine, or maybe it is Oracle virtual box virtual machine. Okay. So your processor must support virtualization technologies. So what is my processor? So I'm going to my task manager. So to know your processor, what processor you are using in your system, different ways you can get it. One way is go to the task manager. Task manager, okay, expand your task manager, click on the performance. So today, after 2 days, I've opened this laptop. So maybe backend, any updates are going on. That's it is very slow today. Anyway, so you see, click on the performance. So click on these three bars. Okay. You can find this is processors, performance, CPU. See, this is my processor is Intel i5 10210U model. 1.60 gigahertz clock speed. Base clock speed is 1.6 gigahertz. Number of sockets are one means a single processor, single die processor it is. Okay, my laptop support only one processor. Laptops, desktop generally support one single sockets only it is there. For servers, multiple sockets are there. Number of cores are 4, number of logical processor 8, virtualization is enabled, very good. And cache memory is 6 MB cache memory. This is my processor details. Okay. If you want to know about more details about this processors, okay, you can go directly to the Intel website. So simply what I'm typing is, I put my processor model Intel i5 10210U. Okay, then you can find intel.com website. Sometimes ask.intel.com, sometimes it will show intel.com. Okay, so open it and see the processor details. i5 10210U processor, 6 MB cache memory up to 4.2 gigahertz. So supported means turbo max turbo frequency it is. The base one is 1.6 only. The maximum is 4.2 frequency. Number of cores are 8. Number of threads are, sorry, number of cores are 4. Number of threads are 8. You want to know what is core? Then click on this question mark and it will tell you what is the core processor. It's a single processor divided into 4 parts. Each part is divided into 2. So then the total logical processors are 8. Okay. Nowadays, so new processors comes with a different this cores also. Means performance cores, okay, thread cores, like that. They are dividing into different ways. Of course, anyway, it's the same concept. 6 MB smart cache memory. So my processor support 64 GB maximum RAM support. Max RAM support is 64 GB. And my RAM support is DDR4 model. I should use it. And with this clock speed only 2666. Okay, this clock speed only it will support. And this processor, the built-in graphical memory is there inside a processor only. There is some basic graphical memory is there. UHD based graphical memory is there. UHD graphical memory. So nowadays we are also getting this iris graphical memory, which is inside your processor. Okay, maximum video memory support is 32 GB. That means 32 GB video it can able to play. That's it. Does not. It support 4K display also. Okay, this is a processor socket. I didn't mention here in the specifications, but it's there. It's important is if you are buying a one processor and you have to put it in a motherboard. To put in a motherboard, you have to buy a motherboard. How you will buy a motherboard? You should know the processor socket model. Then only you can buy that related supporting motherboard. Generally, in that cases, you must know your processor socket model also. It's a laptop. It is already built inside, so you don't do that. Of course, it is a 64-bit processor, and it is instruction set is 64-bit processor. And this is support virtualization technology. Yes. So get to know about your processor model. Check your processor model from your task manager or about your PC. Okay. Type into the Google and find out your processor related information. I purchased one processor. This is much interesting. And if you remember these details, I will tell you that I can show you that one. So this is one processor I purchased, that is i3 9100 F model. F model. Remember F, not this one. All. Go to all. Okay. This is Intel. I purchased from Amazon. You can get it from Amazon also. Now it's a processor not available. So ninth generation i3 processor, 6 MB cache memory. About turbo speed is 4.2. 4 core, 4 threads. Okay, multitasking support is there, not high performance. Multitasking performance wise, it is not much. 6 MB cache memory, discontinued of course, 64 GB support. See that DDR4 support, but the clock speed is different. 2400. My laptop support 2666 clock speed. This is 2400 support is there. This is the processor socket. So I purchase individual processor. I purchase like this processor, I purchase it separately. So for this processor, I have to buy a supported motherboard. Okay. The motherboard should have this socket to insert this processor. Okay. Like this is the some motherboard. This is the processor socket. Should have this type of socket model. Otherwise, we can't put the processor inside. That's why we should know the details. Intel 64-watt support is there, and virtualization technology is also available. And if you look at here, it's not showing any graphical memory related information. Okay. So why there is no graphical memory information? Because this processor does not have any internal graphical memory. No graphical memory is inside. Okay. It is saying that discrete graphic card is required. Okay. So when I purchase it, I put everything in the lab computer. I said it is ready. Then what happened? No display. So why no display? Then again, I went to this every details from both Amazon and Intel. Then I found that is this processor does not contains any graphical memory inside. Okay, you should attach a graphic card. You should attach a graphic card. Otherwise, it won't work. You can't see anything on the screen. So what I have done, I purchase one graphic card, like a 2 GB graphic card, then it is working fine. Okay, so this is about your processor specification, and this is why we should know the processor specifications. Two more points to go, guys. One is this 32-bit and 64-bit and processor heatsink. Okay, guys, understanding up to here? A little more. Very good. So as said, processor 32-bit processor, 64-bit processors. So how this bit processes depends upon the instruction sets in the processor. So as I said, there is a processor from 4-bit processor, 8-bit processor, 16-bit processor, then 32-bit, then 64-bit processors. Nowadays, all are 64-bit processors. Okay. The instruction set, the bus, the data bus, okay, address bus, these are all 32-bit in the 30-bit processor. Simple to say, in 32-bit processor, the instructions are 32-bit size, means it can understand 32-bit size of instruction, 32-bit size of data. The data also 32-bit size wise only it will understand, it will process like that. In 64-bit, 64-bit instructions, it will understand 64-bit data size. Next. The 32-bit processor does not support very high RAM capacities. You want to run a complex applications. It's very difficult because the complex applications, heavy applications required higher RAM capacities. So this 32-bit processor does not support these complex applications or heavy applications. But 64-bit processors support higher RAM capacities. So then we can easily run these complex applications or heavy applications with a 64-bit processors. Okay, that's one thing it is. Next, also the 64-bit processors support this virtualization technologies more, and nowadays this type of virtualization things are improved. Not only a virtual machines, the Docker engines, Kubernetes, this is more we are using. So this virtualization technology support is very high. Okay, that is one point, and we'll see remaining things also. So for us, our point is, let's see. Yeah, you are having a 32-bit processor system or 64-bit system is there. What OS we should install for 32-bit processor? We should take 32-bit operating system. Means hardware 32, software also 32 compulsory. Hardware 64, software is 64. So you have a 32-bit processor, 32-bit operating system, 32-bit device drivers. So compulsory 32-bit device drivers. Applications 32-bit applications only. It's a compatible is compulsory. You have to use all the same bit version only 32-bit, 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 32. For 64-bit processor, 64-bit processor, 64-bit operating system, 64-bit device drivers, 64-bit applications only we should use it. Okay. Next. Right. Next. So, for example, you have a system. You have a system that's a 32-bit system. Now you have to install a device driver inside, or maybe you have to install an application. Okay. Now, how to understand this is a 32-bit application or 64-bit application? Okay. How can we understand? So we look at the application name. On the application name, if it is showing 32-bit, means you can understand it's a 32-bit application. Sometimes it won't return 32-bit. It will write x86. x86 is a Intel 32 representation. x86 generally represents Intel 32-bit. i386, i586, these are also representation of Intel 32-bit only. Next is 64-bit. In case on the application or device drivers or an operating system on the its package name, it is showing 64-bit, means it is 64-bit application or operating system or a device driver. Sometimes it will show x86 underscore 64, means Intel processor supported 64-bit. x64 also it is 64-bit Intel support one. AMD 64, AMD supported 64. Win64 means Windows operating system 64-bit support. Okay. So system architecture or architecture is a 32-bit or 64-bit it will represent. Generally in Windows we don't see much and we install it. Okay. in a Linux based operating system, certain applications, compulsory architecture matching is very important, guys. 32, 64 compulsory. Mainly operating system device drivers, compulsory matching is required. Applications in certain operating system, compulsory architecture. Generally, if you go with the Linux based packages or Unix packages, it mentions the 32 or 64 in different ways. Sometimes also it will mention like this, no ARCH, means no architecture. So earlier days when we don't know this about this architectures and all. So when we try to download a certain package for our Linux system, it shows 32, 64. That we will understand very much. But when it is showing this NOARCH, we call it as notch, because we don't get what is this separate package or what. Because Intel AMD, that's two processors, but there is ARM processors also there. So different hardwares also there, which we don't see generally in our regular systems. But once you go inside into the infrastructure side, so different models. You know IoT, this Raspberry Pi. So different architecture. It's not Intel. It's not AMD supported. It's not 32. It's not 64. Okay. It's different architecture is required. Like that's why you should know it. The supported architecture application or operating system on that. Mostly say AMD. Not AMD. So ARM. Okay. ARM bit supported kind of stuff. So you have to check the hardware architecture supporting architecture on that. Again, what is no arc means no architecture. Means that package support on both 32-bit as well as 64-bit. 32-bit mentioned is support 32-bit, 64 mentioned support 64. No architect means support both 32 as well as 64. That's the point. Okay. So next time, remember when you are installing something, check it. What's architecture it is. Okay. Oh, so 11:42. Take a lot of time on very small thing. How can we cover more? Okay. The very last one in the processor, guys. We took a processor only more time. Okay. No problem. Just we'll discuss this last point in a processor and very important one. Then we'll go out for a break. Okay. Next, heat sink. What is this heat sink? Guys, your processor will get lot of heat. When system is running, processor produce lot of heat. That heat is exceeded its processor capacity to handle that heat exceeded, processor will be damaged. To prevent it from burning or damage, what we need is a heat sink, a coolant. It's not cooling actually, it's like a take the heat outside of this processor. Okay. So what it is, there is a processor. On the processor, they place this heat sink. In the desktop, this type of heat sink we are using. In laptop, we are using this type of heat sink assemble. Okay. So see, this is a bottom. This is the processor. On the processor is applying heat sink paste. Okay, heat sink paste applied on this processor, and that on the top we are placing this heat sink. This is a kind of an alloy material, aluminum based only. Okay, it absorbs the heat because this heat sink paste helps to absorb more heat from your processor, plus and make a more better contact to the processor also. So the processor will able to absorb the heat. That heat sink fan runs and run, so then the air rotates in the heat sink. In the heat sink, as like these gaps are there, no, like a fins. So in that gaps, air will be rotated. The air, because of that air rotation, heat sink get cooled. So heat sink get absorb the heat, and heat sink get cooled by this air rotation with the help of heat sink fan. Okay, that's the how this processor maintain the heat like that. Even you can take the laptop heat sink. See this copper plate? That copper plate placed on the processor, and between the copper plate and processor, there is a heat sink paste. So copper plate absorb the heat and pass the heat to copper rod, and the fan which blow the air to this copper rod. So then copper rod will get cool. Okay. So this is how the heat sink is look like. Okay. And here one troubleshooting also there. So why this is a important, we'll see. You power on your system and either you just system powering on time or maybe while little using time. Means you started a system and started using system. And system is restart itself again and again. System restart itself again and again without any error on the screen. So there is a possibility that CPU is getting overheated. There can be a lot of reasons. One of the reasons is CPU is getting overheated. Why CPU is getting overheated? So there is a possible reasons. One is this heatsink paste is not applied properly or cleaned. Okay, improper cleaning or cleaned completely. So heatsink paste. Second is that heatsink not placed on the processor properly. 1 second. Just okay. So heatsink maybe not placed properly. Some loose connection. So heat is not able to, so the heatsink unable to take the heat properly. Or maybe heatsink fan not working. Or heatsink full of dust. Heatsink full of dust. There is a all possibilities are there. So what to do? So go to the open the cabinet. See any dust formation is there. If any dust formation is there, use simple anti-static brushes or maybe normal brushes like this, small sizes. Okay, cleaner dust formation. Okay, it helps to improve your system performance also because of that heat. So why system is restarting? Okay, first is why system is restarting. Of course, heat sink paste not applied properly, or maybe heat sink is not placed properly. Dust formation on the heat sink, or if heat sink fan is running, not running. So, but why system is restarting? Processor is getting overheated. Because of this, processor is getting overheated. If processor is getting overheated means processor will damage. If processor is damaged means it's very costly. Okay. So what our system has a simple inside in the motherboard, there is a heat sensors. When processor is getting overheated, what system will do it? It immediately turn off your system. Means it restart your system. So while restarting, you will understand something goes bad. Something is going on, right? So when you see the system is restarted, again restarted, so then we can understand something is going on. Okay. To prevent it from damage, it's restarting. And also we can understand, so because of these restart something not working properly. And mainly one of the reason is processor is getting overheated. Okay. So that's the main point. And what to do again? So check the clean the heat sink if more dust formation is there. Okay, remove the heat sink from the on the processor. Check the heat sink paste. Clean the heat sink paste and reapply the heat sink paste properly and place the heat sink. Connect the heat sink fan and make sure everything running fine on that. Okay, it has happened to me also sometimes. Like when I take back my system, that's very old system. It is a lot of dust formation. So I cleaned everything. So I cleaned this heat sink paste also. I cleaned it. So full of with the cleaning process, I cleaned everything. So what happened? It's working fine, but sometimes suddenly it's starting itself. Okay. So later, what we have done? So we purchased this. At that time, it's a 10 rupees small dabba. It is heat sink paste. We took it and apply that heat sink paste. It's running fine. And another time is when we are in our office. It's students' desktops. It's the one desktop is near to the window. It's not properly closer. So what happened? The more dust inside went inside and it's full of dust. So it's just when person is using its system is power on and while using it's keep on restarting. So it's not application issue. We've opened the cabinet full of dust. We cleaned it and done. It's working. Okay. So like yeah, Karthik.
Sir, if recently I am cleaned my thermal paste, but in shop there is using some liquid. They told that this is an acid, but I know it is an isopropyl. But
Mm.
which liquid we need to prefer to clean that processor thermal paste?
Normal like this. We have yeah, that same thing. Isopropyl kind of stuff. Normally, not that much is also not required. You can use normal cloths also, no problem. I can use any cotton cloths also now. Not silk, cotton is okay.
Okay, thank you, sir.
This is they are using this type of isopropyl.
Okay.
It will. Even you don't use also no problem. So
Okay,
whole
sir.
system no problem not because these coolants will work for almost like a 5 to 10 years easily. And we are using now this type of injection mode thing and with some kind of heatsink, heat and this injection type and it comes with like this. This we can simply apply. And while applying also very light we have to apply, not heavily, not should not be heavy application like this. Don't we should not put like this. Very light layer should apply properly. This is better. These models, these are a lighter cost. Lesser cost is better for desktop. Normal desktops, less cost desktops, normal etching paste are enough. Very good. Okay, this is about your processor, guys, and one troubleshooting. That is, if system is restart itself and again, possible that is CPU is getting overheated. Why CPU is getting overheated? How to resolve it? Okay, take a break and we'll be discuss what is RAM and ROM. Compulsory question. What is RAM and ROM differences? About a RAM, we will discuss. Then ROM, BIOS. So I think today it will support up to here only. So we'll finish up to at least we'll try to finish up to SMPS. Okay. Storages we'll discuss on the next session, Monday. Okay. So take a break when we will be back at back at 12:10, not 2:10, 12:10. Take a break.